Is technology ethical? Alrighty, writers. This is my first genuine attempt at YouTube. So, for the 3 people who are watching this, please keep your expectations low. This past semester, I have been taking a Digital Humanities class for my English major. This class really got me thinking, is technology ethical? With each ethical quandary that came up, there was always a value that went along with that, which really, when you think about it, that makes sense. Because we see something as morally wrong when it infringes on something that we value. I am a writer, so I'm going to bring books into this. I have Spring and All by William Carlos Williams, Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. Here are the 4 main ethical quandaries that connect to also 4 main values. First, let's talk about accountability, which will bring me to what was my favorite read of this class, Frankenstein. Now, I had already listened to Frankenstein via an audiobook, but I really loved rereading this book for this class because it really helped me to dive deeper into not only its story, but also its themes and how much it really makes you think about our world and also our relationships and how important they are. And one theme that I thought Frankenstein really brought forward quite a lot is the theme of, I like to call it, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It makes me think about the development of AI because it's just mind-blowing what we are able to do with technology now, which is cool to see, but it really makes me think, are the creators really considering the impacts of what they're making, or are they just making it because they can, or they want to prove that they can? Frankenstein, this man, goes into a mad, he isolates himself from everybody and he just creates until finally he's alive. And right when he creates the creature, he's immediately terrified and he runs away from it. This creature knows nothing of society, of right and wrong, of morals. He didn't teach him any of that. And all it has is pure strength, because the creature is described as this amazing being that is huge and strong and can run so fast, faster than any other person. This creature can overpower anyone. Frankenstein just wanted to see that he could make it. And right as he does, he just unleashes it upon the earth without thinking of any ramifications. And it destroys his life. And this connects to technology. It's often released into the world without thinking about what it's going to do, like algorithms and social media. And most importantly, AI. Yes, AI is so cool. It's interesting. It's amazing what can just in a split second appear because a computer generates it. But also, are the people creating it thinking about how that is going to change society, whether for the better or for the worse? It's mind-boggling that we're not thinking about this. The second value is probably the one that most people, or at least I, think of the most when it comes to an ethical predicament with technology, and that is connection. Because technology both connects us so much more than we were connected before, but also disconnects us. I mean, looking into technology use and social media, it is making our mental health worse. And that is possibly because of loneliness. Because while we are talking to people online, we're not talking to the people around us. If we're in a situation where we're around acquaintances, we don't try to converse with them. We rather pull out our phones. A text that got into this quite harshly was an article called Without Women by Caitlin Flanagan. This article talks about online and how that impacts young boys, and how human connection is getting less and less because people are trying so hard to connect with technology the way we are meant to connect with another human being. Social media can allow us to connect better with people. I mean, technology allows us to text, to phone call. We can meet people that we would have never met before. But at the same time, a connection through technology is still not the same as a connection face to face, and we cannot replace that. On to the third ethical quandary, which is plagiarism and creativity, or plagiarism and imagination, according to Spring and All book I've ever read. It is something. But honestly, I loved it. I loved trying to figure out what he was saying as he was trying his hardest to make me not figure out what he was saying. At least I think that's what he was doing. Anyway, if you don't know who William Carlos Williams is, you probably recognize one of his poems. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater besides the white chickens. The two words he used in this book the most have got to be plagiarism and imagination. The main idea of the book is using your imagination and not plagiarizing. Because what plagiarizing is not using your imagination. And the reason why this connects to technology is because, especially with AI, we are just honestly plagiarizing. Even if it's not like word for word taking from other people, it's kind of like taking a bunch of words from a bunch of different people and then like having a computer spit it back out to you. It is plagiarizing. According to this dude, he really tries to get the point across that poetry is taking imagination and making reality with imagination. It is not describing reality, but creating reality. And that is something that technology just destroys with us, because we are just taking, or having a computer take, creativity that already exists from other people and rewording it and using it as our own. Creativity is such a beautiful thing. It is what creates reality. It is what allows innovation. And so it is not something we should dispose of. AI cannot create reality. There's a few quotes on how important imagination is that I really love in here. There is a residual contact between life and the imagination, which is essential to freedom. This is my favorite one. So this one, I kind of just picture a person standing before this all-consuming painting, and this is someone describing them, showing the individual depressed before it that his life is valuable when completed by imagination. The last value that I believe technology infringes upon is privacy. And this brings in Emily Dickinson's poetry. She talks a lot about privacy in her writing, and even just her writing in and of itself. It brings up this whole idea of privacy and what we have a right to publish of others, or what we have a right to know of others. Because Emily Dickinson was, I think, only published once when she was alive, and that was without her permission. And after she died, all of her poems, those were published without her permission. Obviously, because you can't ask her, because she passed away. Even just reading them is an ethical quandary. Should I have access to these? In her poetry, she really illustrates nature and how private it is. She talks about how she is living her life among nature, and yet she does not interrupt the lives of those around her, like the frog and the bee, the fly and the flowers and the trees. In the same thing is they do not interrupt her. I think in one of the poems, a bird lands on something and it does not pay any mind to her. She paints privacy as this beautiful thing. With technology, we are able to know everything about everyone. You look up your name and all your information is out there. Our information is literally mined and sold. It's something to think about when you're using technology. And that is with all of these. Am I going to stop using technology? No, because I do think it is beneficial. I talked about connection and creativity and how it can destroy those things, but it can also benefit those things, because with creativity, we can make things using technology, make things that we could have never made without technology. And the same is with connection. As I said, we can connect with people we would have never connected with without technology. And that brings me to skills that technology has taught me. In this Digital Humanities course, there are two different groups of these skills, and it's the practical ones and the technical ones. For the practical skills, I've learned more how to research. And just with technology in general, we are able to learn so much more. There is so many free resources of information. A second skill is organization. Digital humanities is the study of the humanities, languages, literature, philosophy. It's the study of those via technology. Digital humanities projects are projects that allow people to either collect data about certain things related to humanities or demonstrate something in a way that only technology allows. An example is the Poetry Foundation, which collects the work of poets. Creating those digital humanity projects is about organization. How else are people going to find the resources unless you organize them? Technology allows you to think outside of the box, because there is no longer just writing or speaking. There's also videography, photography, graphic design, digital art, maps, graphs, tables, podcasts, other audio forms, blogs, lots of different written text with so many different ways to communicate information. You're able to be creative about it. And then there is critical thinking, which brings me to the souls of Black folk. When it comes to ethics, we should be thinking about them deeply and not just going with what we've heard another person saying, but thinking critically about that and also being able to push back, because that is a big thing with this book. He pushes back against different arguments. He sees nuance there, because there is not just two sides. It is important to be able to think critically, because not being able to think critically is what creates such large divides between people. We need to be able to see nuance. Now, how does that relate to technology? Technology allows us to critically think about ethics. We are able to see other people's perspectives and learn nuance. Technology allows us to think critically about ethics because it allows us to see different perspectives and to hear stories. The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, it really communicates how important stories are. He demonstrates his points through stories. For example, a young Black man going to college, he shows through stories the impact that discrimination has on children. Technology is great for technical skills. You get to learn how to innovate, create things. You can do so much with technology. There are so many apps, so much software that can help you make things, that can help make your life easier. In my digital humanities class, I was able to dive deeper into Wix, which I already love to use. I learned about Google Sites, which I did not know Google had a website building platform, and I dived deeper into CapCut. I thought much more about all of the apps and software I use and how I use them and how it benefits my life. And also there is, of course, the side of innovation, but then there's also the side of finding information, like research. I already obviously talked about research as a practical skill, but that leads to a technical skill, which is being able to navigate databases and being able to research well, find credible sources. And it also benefits our lives so much because we're able to find so many resources we would not have access to if it wasn't for technology. I don't want to say we need to get rid of technology. Technology's horrible, throw it all away, blah blah blah. But shut it off and put it aside at least once a day. Live life outside of the screen because the world is so beautiful. Technology is amazing. It teaches us skills, it allows us to innovate, it allows accessibility to research, it helps us with organization, it makes our life easier so that we have more time for creativity, it connects us to people, it does so many things. But at the same time, it disconnects us from people. It makes us lack accountability for our actions. It makes us more likely to plagiarize and to just lose our ability to create. And it makes us lose our privacy. So while, yes, there are ethical, moral ways to use the internet, there's also such unethical ways to use technology. And that is a fine line that each of us have to find ourselves. When I create art, I want to think first. I am a writer. When I create stories, I want to think about how those stories are going to make people feel and if it will benefit them. I don't want to add harm to the world. And I want to take accountability if I accidentally do that. I want to be able to connect with people online, but I will not discard human relationships for that. Human connection is necessary for mental health. So I do want to put down my phone and to talk with people when they're right next to me. Then there's creativity. And how I want to put that into practice is to utilize technology in a way that helps with my creativity rather than stunts it. I won't be using AI to generate work for me just because I don't want to struggle through a creative project, because struggling through a creative project is what leads to such beautiful work, and I don't want to deny myself that outcome. I'm just gonna be careful on what I put where and what information I'm sharing online, and that's that. So, is technology ethical? Technology can't be ethical or unethical. It is us who are ethical or unethical. How we use technology is what will decipher that. I really appreciate if you have gotten this far. I'll see you next time.